to the Chiro podcast, and I am your host, Patra Francis. And today I am excited to be joined by Dr. Lonna Denny, who's been serving patients in San Francisco for over 20 years. And Dr. Lonna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's actually, I've been treating patients for over 25 years.
25 years, so I missed
Yeah.
5 years.
Thank you for making me younger, though. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, your energy is like incredible. I you look like you already been practicing for like 15 years, something. Because you look
Thank
young.
you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and so glad you are here and you build a loyal patient base. I mean, based on our discussion on the pre-podcast call, right? And
that.
incredible reputation with over 126, I think, five-star Yelp reviews and a practice that is financially steady, something many chiropractors struggle to achieve. But before we dive into the financial side, let's start it with your story. What inspired you to become a chiropractor?
Yeah. Well, Patra, I actually went to school to be a dentist. And so I got my undergraduate degree in biology and came out and took the dental admissions test, did really well with it, and really had kind of a last minute epiphany as I was filling out that application for University of the Pacific, which is the dental school here. And I thought, wow, people really don't look forward to seeing their dentist. That's not a happy visit. And I have good teeth and I don't even look forward to seeing my dentist. But then I thought, but my chiropractor, God, I love that guy. He's fixed me from so many sports injuries. And I looked into it and it was the same set of prerequisites. And so that's the path that I went on. And that was the right path for me.
Right. So many people when they become a chiropractor because of maybe their parents are doctors or maybe there is something happening in the past, right? Like you said you had an injury. Did you say that?
Oh, yeah. Because in my early 20s, I did a lot of really heavy bodybuilding and usually without a coach. And doing bent over rows, I literally dislocated a rib. And that is the most painful injury. It really feels like you're being stabbed in the back with an ice pick every time you take a breath, excuse me. And so I suffered with that about 6 months and really just shallow breathing, super shallow breathing, pain in my back all the time. And I decided to go see a chiropractor. And when I went to see this chiropractor, it was like a scene out of a movie. He had me lay down. He told me the rib had been ripped out of the socket a little bit. That's the way he explained it. And he did this big thoracic adjustment. There's this huge crunch. I screamed. I jumped up off the table and I took this breath and I thought, oh my God, that's the first deep breath I've taken in 6 months. And then I thought I saw a halo over that guy's head. I was like,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
man, he fixed that. He fixed me in just like a couple of visits. And that guy is still my friend to this day. And he's still practicing. He's still practicing and he's in his 70s.
Awesome. I can see why you want to be a chiropractor is to help other people the same way that somebody help you. So, yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about when you went to school. In chiropractic school, they teach you on how to take care of patients, but not really how to run a business. What was the learning curve like for you in the beginning when you started your own practice? Did you ever feel unprepared on the business side of it?
Of course. Yes. I mean, the vision. So let me just back up with that. The vision, I didn't anticipate opening my own practice right out of school. That's what I ended up doing. But I was supposed to go to work in that chiropractor's office. And so what happened was in my senior year, I'm getting really close to graduating, and I go over there, we're talking about me working in his office, and he had a big office in downtown San Francisco. He had two associates, couple front office people, and then two massage therapists. And I decided to take out his female associate. I said, can I take you out to lunch? And I just wanted to do my homework. And she said to me, hey, I don't want to discourage you, but there's something going on here that's just not right. Something is not right with this practice. That receptionist who's been with him forever is making more money than the associates are.
Mm.
And it was like a warning. And then I felt it inside like, hmm, maybe this is not the right, maybe I shouldn't go into his office. And it turns out what was happening was I want to say this so other chiropractors don't make this mistake because he lost everything. He was having his front office woman who had been with him since the very beginning, she had been with him for years, do his payroll. And payroll is very complex, especially, in a city like San Francisco and California. There's a lot of things that you have to know as far as the taxes, about how much, sick time people are accruing. Anyway, to make a long story short, she was not paying the state payroll taxes.
Oh my gosh.
And if there is one entity that you do not mess around with, it is the state franchise tax board.
Mm-hmm.
And they came after him and they took everything. He owned an
Oh my
apartment building,
goodness.
took that. Yeah. And so his practice went from all that to nothing, like sharing an office with one other chiropractor somewhere. So that was really a blessing for me. I'm really glad that I checked his office out. I spent a little time doing some research there because as a person, I really liked him. As a chiropractor, he was fantastic, but he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't keeping his eye on the ball. He wasn't keeping his eye on the numbers. He was really just trusting another person too much, and her part, when the everything was taken away from him, she just went on and got another job. She was just an employee.
Yeah, Doctor, you got a good point. This is not the first time I'm hearing this. I also talk another business owners too that have their own admin running payroll, and like 10 years, like 5 6 years after he got like six figure of a payroll tax bill, and the government treating that like a trust fund, right? Because it's almost like you took the money from your employee and you hold it, even though you may be a sole practitioner and running a payroll for yourself. And then when you don't submit it to the IRS, they take that, like you cannot go through like offer and compromise or anything. They want to collect it, even though you set up an LLC and you thought that it's like limited liability. But even though you close down the business, they're still gonna go after the business owner to collect those payroll taxes. So something that to live and learn for other chiropractors too, not to make a mistake by hire unprofessional or someone who is they're just a secretary. They don't know that even though they follow the app that like QuickBook or something, but it's still not correct. So it's something that to be aware of. So that's a good point. And I
Absolute,
really happy that
Patra.
you.
You're absolutely correct. Uh, if you're going to bring on employees, you've got to do things the right way. And that means I really recommend using a payroll service. First of all, they're not that expensive. And second of all, if you have a business account with Citibank, they have a subsidized thing with Sure Payroll, which is a payroll company. It's
Yeah.
very inexpensive. And then the second thing is like you've got to have that workers' comp insurance. That's another thing
Hmm.
that could really do you in. But what are the chances of somebody getting hurt at your front desk are very, very low. But let's just say a patient hits the front desk staff or something, crazy people come in off the street. There's a quick, a file cabinet falls over. I mean, anything could happen. Or they're out on an event with you and they get in an auto accident. Like you've got to have that workers' comp insurance too. Don't, though, these are things
Exactly.
not to skimp on because they can ruin you if you get caught.
Yeah, and just like what you said, third party payroll provider, they are inexpensive. That most of the time they give you like an insurance. If something, and when I talk about insurance, it means like if they miss the report to the federal agency, they will take responsible on that. And the
Correct.
other thing is, I think what I can hear from this, because there are many like pieces, right, for the compliance. The most important is you want to have a proactive partner, which means that you want to have a right proactive advisor who can guide you to like for everything where you don't have to worry about, do I do this right? Do I do this wrong? How do I look at the number? You just because you're going to school for healing people, you should focus on that so you can serve the community longer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really just saw how many of my classmates didn't make it after graduation.
Oh my
And it
God.
wasn't because of they were bad chiropractors. it was really because they just never got that business foundation down. And also, it's, you really have to judge, do you have the personality to go into business for yourself?
Yeah.
Because that really takes a certain amount of being an extrovert and like being really happy to meet people and hand out your card. And it takes a certain, joie de vivre to really be successful on your own as a chiropractor. And if that's not you, that don't worry about it. Go work for somebody else who's
Mhm.
handling that side of things until and then a year or two later you make that decision. Yes, I've got it down, or no, I want to stay here.
Yeah, when I hear that story, it just made me feel so sad because we want some people invest like a hundred like six figure into the business, getting their own space, renovating, make the place looks good, and then at the end they just don't know how to run the business, and there's no guidance for them. Then the business is like not doing well, right? And a lot of chiropractors I talk to tell me that they don't really look at their number until the tax time, and even then they're not even sure what the number is telling them, right? Or what does it even mean? How can they take action to the to the right direction, right? Knowing what the number said, but knowing what action to take, that's a different thing. Do you have an experience on that, like when you started your practice, who giving you advice, or do you have to learn from try and errors?
Yeah, from trial and error. But let me just say, when I opened my practice, I had literally $7,000 to my name. That's it. That's all I had, right? In San Francisco, right? So, you know, thank God it was the first dot-com crash. It was, right at the turn of the century, around 2000, 2001. And so the only place I could afford was this place in the worst neighborhood in San Francisco, San Francisco's Tenderloin District, which is famous for all the wrong reasons, right? But I really have a heart for these people, and I thought, man, this is a segment of the population that really needs chiropractic that would never get this service. And I could afford that. It was literally $500 a month for like a 650 square foot little office. It was perfect. And what I did was I kept my weekend job. Now, I had driven a cab in San Francisco for 13 years. That put me through college. It put me through chiropractic school. I was able to keep my loans down and not have to borrow money to live. And I kept that job the whole first year that we had that office. In addition, my partner and my wife and I would drive around San Francisco at night looking for discarded furniture to fill the office because I
Wow.
had no money to really like put furniture in the office. And,
Yeah.
so we would like, oh, there's an old couch, there's an old chair. We'd go, okay, it doesn't smell like cats. All right, let's get that. And spray paint it and everything. And we actually made the office look pretty nice. So I'd work, Monday through Friday seeing patients. And then on the weekend, I would drive the cab for money to live off of. So all the money that was coming in, I was putting back into the business and investing it in buying, a point of sale terminal, a fax machine, at that time, just the things and upgrading, constantly upgrading. That was a theme throughout my whole practice. As we made more money, I wanted everything to look really good, really high end. I mean, our office right now is gorgeous, and we're in this historic building. But back to the tax thing, I went to H&R Block, who did my taxes, and I said, hey, I'm opening a business. The guy literally hands me this big book like this with lines in it, like a huge ledger,
Oh my
like it's
gosh.
1965, and says, well, okay. And I was so good about every night. I would come home and write the date and the line about how much money came in and how much money came out. And then, like a year into it, it was time to do our taxes. I actually took it into the CPA. He was actually quite impressed. He's like, "Wow, you actually did a really good job of documenting everything.
Wow.
Okay, let's do this a little bit more sophisticatedly, And then we went to QuickBooks and stuff. But
Right.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
and
glad.
but
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I want to say like one of my first mistakes in practice was when I would buy something small, I don't think I ever really saved a receipt. Let's say I bought a cup of coffee and I'm taking it into the office. I only saved receipts that were like for big things.
Right.
So by year two, we actually made money and I was able to quit driving the cab. Okay. So I went full-time chiropractic on year two. When it's time to do taxes at the end of year two, because year one, I just broke even. I didn't owe any taxes. Year two, we actually made money. And I owed a lot of taxes. I was shocked, for the amount of money that I made. Okay, yes, we're making a profit, but I wasn't, making a lot of money. And it really taught me the very valuable lesson. Like every little thing, every little pencil you buy, every little cup of coffee, every little lunch that you go out and talk with an attorney or something or networking, you got to save those receipts because they really add up.
Yeah. Otherwise, you could overpay in taxes if you don't, you know, make sure that you put a system in place. And I like that your CPA has suggested to use an accounting software, right? Because at a
Yeah.
certain revenue range, like the IRS require you to have a balance sheet if you are making or have an asset over 250,000. And I mean, putting write it down your expenses, it works only up to the certain point. And I understand that many practice owner, when they get started, they want to save costs, but you have to make sure that you save costs into the right things, right? Not just, when it comes to finances, what you want to do is, um, because like from the outside, a practice can look very busy, but the real question is how much is left over after everything. And if you don't have accounting system in place to make your life easier, then you don't know what is it that is your net profit, your net income. So you might run and thinking that, oh, you are
Yeah.
making like 6 7 figure, but what is it that you are taking home, right? So you want to make sure that you have that system in place. And not the profit is not just an afterthought, it's something that you have to put as your priority.
You're 100% right, Patra. And it's like, it reminds me of a quote from a friend of mine who's very rich and owns a building in downtown San Francisco. She used to say, it's not how much you're making, it's how much you're keeping.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because I often remind my client that there are two things. The reason why you open your business at the first place is, number one, you want to create financial freedom. Number two is you want to enjoy what you do. If you don't have these two things, just go with somebody else. Because if you're just like running left and right in like a what is that called, the hamster wheel, and you don't even have to, like, you can create a system. Like in our firm, we help people create a system, make their cash flow, making sure that they put a priority in place and making sure that they do meet the compliance too. So and early on, did you ever have months where cash flow felt tight, or even when revenue looked good? What did you learn from those moments? Because I know that you are pretty frugal. I mean, you're smart, that you're not like, you still go get the furniture, like the used furniture, and make it look good. But some people, they just like go all in and just hoping that when they turn the light on open, the revenue gonna flow in, right? And their money just like stuck there. And if you not be careful on making sure that profit is your priority, then you could fall into closing down the business and all that. So from your experience, have you ever have that, the cash flow that tight at the beginning of your business?
Yes, of course. Of course. Never mind months. How about years? It took me, I think, years until really I was taking home more than just a paycheck. I went through several business coaches and I really had to learn. I wish somebody had taught me in school the formula for being successful really right out of the gate. And people aren't going to want to hear this, but this is the truth. If you have 3 marketing events a week, 3 a week, it will build your practice quickly. Now, what can that look like? It can look like you're joining a BNI group, which I really recommend, Business
Mm.
Network International. I was in that group for 17 years. So that group is a group of business owners from all different types of businesses they get together once a week. We would get together and have breakfast once a week and do and give each other referrals. So you keep that money in the circle. So it's like I was in a BNI group that's like 40, 45 people, and we all keep our money within the group. A lot of attorneys. So if they get, if they get hurt, they come to see me. If their friends get hurt, their family get hurt, they come to see me. Right. And the same thing, if I need an attorney for a certain thing, boom, I've got an attorney that I can refer to, and accountants and all that. So just joining one of those groups, that's like a marketing event. Say you're going out, you're inviting a personal injury attorney to go out for lunch. That's an event. Putting your newsletter, that can count as an event. But 3 things a week that are hardcore marketing events. And they should be a mixture of hunting and farming. Now, here's what that term means in marketing. So farming, when you think of farming, it takes a long time, right? It takes some time for that crop to come in, but then it pays off a long time over time. That's like a
Right.
BNI group. It
Yeah.
takes time to build those relationships and get people to trust you, like, and trust you. Then you start getting those referrals, and you'll have those referrals the rest of your career. I still have people, I haven't been in that BNI group in 5 years, and I still get referrals from that BNI group and from those people because I was part of the group for so long. So
Right.
that's farming. It's like building relationships, and then over time that pays off. Hunting is like a quick kill. Like you're doing a health fair uh, at a company. You're participating, you have a booth at a company's health fair, or you're doing like there's a lot of street fairs in San Francisco. I used to have a booth at every one of them. And I'd
Right.
walk out of there with 5 or 6 new prepaid patients because I had a very regimented system for doing that. I had scripts for doing that. So I wasn't just trying to, do it
Right.
offhand, right? It was all very formatted.
Right. What do
So
you mean
that's, yeah.
prepaid system? So you able to close the people right at the event? Huh,
Yep.
that's interesting.
Oh yeah. I have a whole rap, a whole thing and I would train my associates, and we would role play this and role play it so they could say these things without it sounding scripted. So Patrick, and I have to admit to you that early on I realized, like, you're selling,
Oh yeah,
right? We
everything
take very
selling.
little insurance, right? So it's like if I'm trying to talk somebody into buying a treatment plan, you are selling them that treatment plan.
Right.
And you need to feel good about that inside, not feel like creepy, like, oh, I'm selling this thing and I didn't go to school to be a salesperson. No, get that out of your head. It really has to be you have something to give,
Right.
a special thing to give, your treatment, and they need it. And you need to communicate that in a way that people don't feel like they're being sold.
How can you do that?
So, oh, oh,
That's
you
like
want me to give away all my secrets?
yeah, that's probably gonna be a whole long conversation for that.
That is a whole long conversation, but let me tell you what not to do. When you
Right.
set up these booths or you're at a company's health fair, I mean, I've seen chiropractic tables and there's just a table set up and the person's sitting there like waiting for people to come to them. And I'm like, what are you doing? I've actually called chiropractors out on this. Like, what are you doing? You have to invite people to come over to see you. So let's just say we're doing a street fair. There's thousands of people. I would stand in front of my booth and I would be absolutely crazy. I would be like, hey, don't stop at my booth. You're too young and healthy. You should just keep walking. I bet nothing hurts you. And I would make people laugh. And then, of course, I'd come over. What do you mean? Yeah, I'm young, but I work at a computer. My neck is killing me. Really? Come over here. I got my chiropractic table right here. Let me check your neck out. Let me see what's going on. And then I take the spine out and go, this is why your neck hurts. This. Hey, look, what have you done to fix this so far? Oh, I went to Kaiser and they gave me a physical therapy video to watch. Believe it or not, that's some of the answers. What is it keeping you from doing right now? Well, it's keeping me from playing tennis on the weekends. Okay, well, would you like that to go away? Yes, I'd like to go away. Okay, well, you're in luck because today we're running a special. Usually, if you're an uninsured person, you're coming in, that first physical exam And then the first treatment with the report of findings, that's 2 visits. It's usually $199. We're running a special today. If you pay now, I'll sell it to you for you get it for $159. And you can book it right now. You can book it 2 weeks from now. We'll give you the certificate. We have these nice little certificates made up. Does that sound like a good deal to you? Yes. Yes, it is a good deal. And then people would buy that certificate, and then I'd walk out of there. And we would do gay pride, and gay pride is 1 million people. Literally 1 million people come to gay pride.
Mm.
And we would have a booth there. I mean, it was grueling all weekend long because it's just so many people. And I'd walk out of there with like 20 prepaid patients who are coming in
Right.
those next weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So
Yep.
that's what you call it hunting. You have to
That
go.
is hunting. That is hunting.
That's a good, very good
It,
tip
it, it's
because
quick.
you cannot be when you run your own business. You cannot be shy. And the thing is, just like what you said, that you have good things to offer to people. Why not telling it out loud? And sales skill is like is for everything in life anyway. To get someone to be your boyfriend, girlfriend, you also need to be able to sell yourself. So you have to believe inside of you that you are good and you can help others. That's coming from
Yeah.
root of it.
Yeah. You've got that insight. You do, because I remember the very first uh fair I did was actually at the federal building. And I was kind of very nervous and oh, would you like your neck checked? I mean, people are looking at you
Yeah.
and they're reading your confidence. How confident are you that you can fix their problem? People like confident people. And I don't mean like you're being arrogant or boastful, because that comes out of insecurity. But when
Right.
you truly have a good heart and you're confident in your abilities and you want to help these people, people feel that. And they're like, oh yeah, maybe this person actually can help me with this carpal tunnel syndrome that they want to cut into my wrist for.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
that's good. So, and I know that on you, what I am impressed about you, Dr. Lonna, when I go look at your Yelp review, you only get like you have like 100 of like review, 126 review, and it's like I think close to 5 star. How can you do that? Because from my experience, people only when people are unhappy, they go to Yelp and making a bad comment, right? But you only have good positive comment, which is that's another way to bring business into, because most of the time when you want to look for a good chiropractor, like for myself, I would go either Google review or Yelp review to see what the feedback from others patients. How can you build that such a strong, reputable, 5 star review?
Patrick, I think it's really exceeding people's expectations. From the
Right.
minute they come into our office, we have nice snacks, we have a tea station. My front office person is trained. She has a script. As soon as that
Love
person
that.
walks in, she knows that person's name. Oh, you must be Robert Smith. Great. How did you find parking okay? Did you you know that we have that garage that we have validated parking at? Is that okay for you? Right
Uh-huh.
away. And then right after the physical exam, they got a little coffee cup with our logo on it. Or we used to rotate what we gave, sometimes really nice drink bottles
Right.
that are reusable. So people would be blown away just by the level of service, because what's it like now when you go see your MD, right? I mean, for me, I belong to Kaiser. It's like you're a number. It's like you have a number stamped on your head.
Oh yeah.
That's how they treat you. Not like that. When you come into our office, it's really like you're special. We care about you. We're going to give you great service. And I must correct you. I do have a few bad reviews on there, which I think are funny, because one person never even came into my office. They wrote a review for a business that was down the hallway and they put it on my website. I have no idea why, but who cares? The other person, the other person called and wanted to talk to me on the phone, wanted to have a free consultation on the phone. And I said, and my receptionist said, well, you can come in and have a free consultation. And she demanded, and I was like, yeah, this is a red flag already. I don't want to. She can come in and talk to me. I'll talk to
Right.
her for free, but I'm not. She's not demanding to speak to me on the phone. She wrote that, and then I did get one review that was like he felt like it was in a sales process with me, which that was in 2022, and I thought, who writes bad review? I love Dr. Denny and the service, but I felt it was a sales process. Really, like we're all just coming out of COVID, and you're gonna
Right.
write a bad review, not a bad review. It was kind of like a 3-star review. But this is what I want to tell other chiropractors: don't freak out if you get bad review. Don't,
Right.
because when any business has a lot of reviews, I only trust it if there's 1 or 2 bad reviews. It's just pure statistics. If you have enough people who walk through your front door, there's going to be one
Oh yeah.
person that you don't please, or there's going to be one crazy person, right? So I love to look at the bad review. And if that bad review is like something crazy like mine, like, I went to go to get a massage down the hallway, but, that's not my business. I'm like, great. That I'm like, yes, their only bad review is like somebody crazy and illegible. And you got to be really responsible about how you respond to that bad review, because that can be a HIPAA violation. You address it in some way. It has to be artfully addressed, but that's a separate topic.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hearing from you is that it's all about client experience. It's almost like you're going to a spa, right? Like you want the client to feel, they are safe. This is like a safe space, and we can treat you. And the communication to patient, what they need is so important. It's not just about what the X-ray is telling you, but also like what is it gonna improve their life for the future. And yeah, I agree with you totally. Like if you've been in the business for this long, 25 years, if you don't have a bad review at all, something not right about it. It has to be something, right? And then
Exactly.
you put 100 something reviews, so you want to look at the majority of comment from people. Yeah. So let me ask you this, Dr. Lonna. It looks like your business, you have some challenges, you have some win, and um, when do you start? Because for us, we like to talk about finances, right? When do you started to think about, you need to have a CPA working with you, you need to have an advisor working for you. When do you start having that? How many years before you decided to hire someone?
Well, I got a CPA after my first year because I knew I couldn't keep writing in that ledger book, right? I mean, I had to,
Oh
those
yeah.
taxes had to be done. Um, and it was just really this fortuitous coincidence that the person who was referred to me for QuickBooks, my wife's what she was doing, she wanted to change occupations, and it person who was doing my QuickBooks wanted somebody to work for it, and they trained my wife how to do QuickBooks, and my wife went to go work for that person. Now
Oh,
that person, that person actually passed on and died, and that my wife took over all that whole QuickBooks business. But she's done our QuickBooks from, yeah, I'd say from like the second year on. But let me just say, Petra, in my time, I don't have a coach right now because it's just not that cycle in my career right now. I've had 4 different coaches. And I think I've learned a little piece of the pie from each one of them, but it was really the fourth coach that brought me from here to, $750,000 and having associates and having um, a practice that was really monetizing for us. And we were able to put a lot of money away for retirement, which I want to say that's like one of the first things you got to do. You got to do this because first of all, it comes off your taxes, even if it's just $100 a month. But
yeah.
I told you I can retire now. I could have retired in 2020. It's because I started saving for retirement back in my 30s when I opened my practice. And there was a financial advisor in that BNI group. And he was like, hey, look, if you can just even put $100 away a month, this is going to come off your taxes. And then, as we started making more money and I got more sophisticated with that, we rebranded from being a sole prop to an S corp. And that allowed me to even put away more money um, in a SEP IRA. So get a financial advisor. They're free. They want your business.
Right.
Uh, yeah,
That's
because it's not just your business, it's your life after that too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, another big pain point that I hear a lot is taxes, right? And chiropractor worked so hard all year. And then they got hit with a huge bill at the end of the year. So that's one thing that, but I one about many people may get confused though between financial advisor and the tax advisor. Financial advisor usually they advise you on your investment. They may have some tax knowledge, like can advise you, but it's probably best to go to a tax advisor who can help you, reduce your taxes. And I think you did the right thing that you change your business from, because when you started your business, usually they started from like a disregard entity, or like everything is falling to your personal tax return. And then at one point, usually we use, you have a net profit of like 50,000 or more, you want to change your entity structure to be an S corp, because it can help you save on self-employment taxes, which is going to save you about 15.3%. So, but once you become an S corp, you want to make sure that you have an advisor who can guide you, because if an S corp, you're gonna file a separate tax return, and not everyone gonna fall into an S corp going to be a good fit, right? Because there are some CPA that just tell them to go to an S corp, but if you don't make like at the minimum 50,000, it might not make sense, because you have to pay for the tax prep fee, because it's like separate tax prep, and then you have to start doing payroll, and there is like other compliance side that you want to meet the requirement. So that's something that I just want to, add on to that, making sure that our listener, have that,
Yeah,
know about that.
right, Patra. But you know, you need both of them.
Yeah.
And one costs money, one is free. So your CPA, your tax advisor, and that CPA should be doing quarterly coupons for you. You've got to make those estimated payments so you don't get stuck with a huge tax bill at the end.
Oh, yeah.
But the financial advisor, like you're not paying anything for that, but they can look at what they can save you in taxes by putting money into your retirement for you um, through different vehicles, depending on whether you're a sole proprietor or you're an S corp. There's different things. Like you're not going to do a 401k. You can do a simple IRA. You can
Oh,
do a
yeah.
SEP IRA. Yeah, all these things.
I can tell that you love learning.
You do.
Like different things. I mean, it's incredible to me. It's incredible and surprised me that you know how to helping, healing people, and you also know the business side of things too. That's so important. It shows that you have 25-year experience on your belt, is not come from nothing. So
Right. It didn't
yeah.
come from nothing, right?
Right. And I mean, you've been practicing for over like 20 years, or like 25 years, right? And still have incredible energy. Many chiropractors feel drained by running both the practice and the business side. What have you done to keep your energy and love for the profession? How can you do that, Dr. Lonna? I would love to know your tips on that.
Oh, that's a good question.
Mhm.
Well, I think a couple things. First of all, I take really good care of myself. I always would. I had a set gym schedule before work,
Mhm.
so I've already gotten my workout done. I take a lot of supplements because we know as chiropractors, you take a lot of courses in nutrition, and you know and understand those different things that we need to take, like fish oil, glucosamine with chondroitin, things that keep our bodies going well. And I think just also, I had to say this because you can't replicate this intentionally, but I have a very happy marriage. I've been with my wife for 32 years, and she works in my practice, and she has her bookkeeping business. And that makes a huge thing because it's a thing that we built together. I think it would have been really hard if she was not in the practice with me, because then we would have been apart a lot of, I mean, there's times that I would work 10, 11-hour days, and that would have been really hard if she had not been there, at least for part of it.
You nailed it, Dr. Lonna. We just talk about business side only, but in reality, we are human. You want to make sure that you have a good supporting system in place, and having the right partner is just so important. I've been in a divorce before, and now
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm very happy to find the right person, and we just like keep each other, to grow together. And we are human, right? So you have good day, you have bad day, but having someone to make you feel good when you have a challenging day, that's so important. You nailed it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also just wanted to say one other thing that was really important in the beginning. And this came about by accident, but I had a patient who was hitting on me, and chiropractors will experience this, whether you're male, female, gay, straight, doesn't matter, because
Right.
you're giving this person attention, you're
Yeah.
literally touching them, you're touching their body, you're touching their back and everything, and people get little crushes on you. And I really didn't know how to deal with it. And coincidentally, there was a seminar coming through town called Dealing with Difficult People. And I thought, oh, I need to take that seminar. And I
Right.
went to it like very early on, and it was the beginning of personal growth, like my first exposure to the whole personal growth movement, and how being like looking at the deficits in yourself. And one thing I've constantly worked on this whole time is me and my emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
Because one of my professors in school said the most profound thing. I don't think I appreciated it at the time, but my God, this was the truth. And she said, when you're in practice for yourself, it's like your office is lined with mirrors. Every fault that you have will come out there. Every deficit, every immaturity, every egocentric thing that you have is going to show up in your practice.
Mm.
So it's like you've got to work on yourself and building your emotional maturity. So you can deal with people in the best way. You don't get triggered when somebody's disrespectful. You know how to handle it when somebody hits on you without making them feel foolish.
Right.
Uh, the more you work on yourself, the more it improves your practice.
Yeah, I love that. Personal development, right? Every day
Exactly.
is schooling. You learn new things every day.
Yeah. Yeah. It is not optional. If you want a successful
Exactly.
practice, it's not optional. I don't think any of us are blessed with like a huge amount of emotional intelligence right off the bat, right? We all have a different set of it coming into it, depending on what your upbringing was.
Yeah.
Um,
Since you talk about personal development, let me ask you this. If you could give advice to younger chiropractor just starting out, especially about running the business side of practice, what would you tell them?
as far as personal development,
I mean,
or what, in what aspect?
maybe uh, um let's like starting up the business maybe because I was just talking about personal development, which I'm very love in personal development too. I believe in it, but my question is around if you have to tell the younger chiropractor when you start out the business. I know you touch base on having a good advisor, right, to making sure that you're not going to make a payroll mistake. You were touching on that, and what else that would you give the other chiropractor advice, or is there anything that you would tell yourself advice, your younger self advice when you started your business?
Really, the key thing is to go out and be around as many people as you can. And it's not like, oh, hey, I'm a chiropractor. Here's my card. No, you got to show
Sounds like a
interest
robot.
in that other person,
Right.
right? Let's just say it's a cashier at Safeway, right? And and this has happened literally. And I saw the person's wearing a brace on their wrist as they're running the thing through. Of course, that's a very repetitive motion to say, like, wow. And I go, that looks like a serious brace. Oh yeah, I've got carpal tunnel. Oh, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I can see why that would happen running these. This was a very repetitive job. I mean, what are you doing for that? And oh, I'm doing this. And I said, oh, wow, I treat that all the time. Oh, you do? Where's your card? Do you have a card? The thing is, if you're really masterful in your people skills, people are asking you for help. They're asking you, do you have a card? Like they want to know who, not like here's my card. Here's my card. That's not going to get you very far, but really
Right.
being interested in other people, really listening to other people makes people like you. People will like you. And and then it goes from there. And then you start building relationships, and those relationships are what feeds your practice. Because people will know, like, and trust you, and they'll come into your office to see you. That's the biggest struggle when you're new out there is really just getting patients in the front door.
Yeah, that's such a great advice because mm, I mean, when you do the work, you want the if you keep talking and you don't listening to like what is your patient have a pain, where is that pain, and just just talking, not listening to what they want, that's not gonna work, right?
And I gotta tell you, I realized early on that I didn't have any experience in the art of influence.
Mm,
Now, so you think about like, okay, influence and manipulation are two sides of the same coin. The difference is influence, I'm trying to get you to do something, but it's really at your benefit. Manipulation is I'm trying to get you to do something, but it's really for my benefit,
right, right.
right? So, I studied neurolinguistic programming, which really taught me a lot about reading other people and mirroring their cadence, the way they speak. Do they speak loud? Do they speak soft? Do they speak in rapid little bursts? Or do they speak slowly? You
Mhm.
mirror that. You mirror the body language, not conspicuously, but these are all subtle things, and people start to relax and they start to like you. And I don't mean it insincerely because I think early on, I realized like if I don't like that person, and it takes a lot for me to not like okay, I can
Right.
find something redeemable in almost anybody. But when people like you, then it's a slam dunk. You're their chiropractor. And I worked on building relationships. And then that's why I think I was telling you earlier, a lot of my patients who have been with me, God, 20 years. Easy. I know their whole families. I know their dogs. I know their kids. And that's
Yeah.
that's what makes a stable practice where you don't have to go out and keep killing yourself marketing all the time.
Yeah, yeah, because anything is not transactional, right? You want to build something more like a relationship based. If you come across transactional, people usually run away because they thought that you would try to put your hand in their pocket or something. So it's
Exactly.
easier. Yeah,
Yeah, and let me just say a mistake I see a lot of chiropractors make, and I think this adds to them to not being successful. And they'll say somebody comes in with back pain or whatever, and they'll treat them one or two times. It's like a Band-Aid fix. And that was never my business paradigm. And it's part of my report of findings, after I've done this thorough exam to go through what I found on them,
right.
and then, you know, and then I tell them what I'm going to do. I treat them, and then I ask them. They sit down. I have them sit down after the treatment, and they're expecting some big sales conversation. It doesn't go that way. I always say to them, if you saw me here, what would you like to get from it? So it's not just like a one or two times. Like, don't do that to patients. Don't see somebody one or two times. That's not right. That's not acting with integrity. You do a treatment plan for people so they can get over their problem. And if they don't get over their problem within the length of that treatment plan, then you need to figure out what's next for them, whether it's an MRI or an ortho consult or whatever else they need. You can't let your ego get in there, right? But I really, that's where I'm not trying to brag, but my close rate on selling treatment plans is like 95%,
Wow.
right? So then I'll ask, okay, what are your
Yeah.
goals?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I have them write them down. I've got this little form. They write their own goals. And I've got a separate form where I have written my goals for their care because I've looked at the exam. It's like, okay, they've got a, weak supraspinatus. They've got lack of range of motion, whatever that is. I want to fix that. I want to fix that. I want you to get back to playing tennis. We on the same page? Yes. Okay. This is the treatment plan for you. It's twice a week for 6 weeks. And then we stop. We're going to do a reevaluation and see where we're at, where I go through all those tests again. So the patient can see very objectively, this is
Right.
what their progress has been. If they don't show progress, then I need to do something different. So I feel there's two ways to act without integrity. First of all, selling people a year-long treatment plan, and some of these coaches advocate for that. That's crazy, man. No, that is dishonest and disingenuous. It's going to give you a bad reputation. Or just the opposite, treating people one or two times. And I can't tell you how many patients have come in here and they've seen a chiropractor. Oh, I saw a chiropractor. I'm like, well, how many times did you see the person? Oh, twice. For a disc herniation? Really? That's just not realistic. I mean, what did they think that chiropractor was going to happen? So here's my standard line. I'm like, look, I'm good, but I'm not Jesus. I can't fix this thing in one or two adjustments, right?
Right.
We set a treatment plan and then we evaluate at the end of that treatment plan what should happen from there. And I feel that's acting with integrity and it's based around the own goals that patient has set.
I hope many chiropractors listening to this. It's so important for you to have like a roadmap for patient, so everybody on the same page. This is what they want. This is the goal right here, Dr. Lonna. And
Yeah,
I
thanks. Yeah.
yeah, and this is such a great advice. And Dr. Lonna, and for anyone who listening, one thing that I want to add to it is we talk about different topics. We talk about how to get new patient, how to manage your practice including the finances side. But one thing that I want to add to this is that don't wait until tax season or burn out to find out whether your practice is very profitable. That's why we offer a free profitability assessment for chiropractor. We will show you exactly how, where, and you might be leaving money on the table and how you keep more of what you earn without working harder. On the average, we find at least 55,000 in tax saving. Check the link in the show note below, and we will help you see your practice number in a whole new way. And I just want to say again, thank you so much, Mother Lonna.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Patra. I hope it's a wonderful profession if you do the work. Yeah, and
That's
I hope you help a lot of other chiropractors.
Yeah, that's my I've been practicing more than like 15 years, right? And I I I work with like many business owners, and then I was approached by Life West Chiropractic School, and I think you went to that school, the same school
I
too.
did.
And that's when I decided and say that, since I committed to this already, why not go all in and choose to help chiropractor so I can speak louder and know that, I'm here to help them. Because, and from just like my background a little bit, I
Yeah,
believe in holistic approach. I don't really like to take medicine if it's not necessary, of course, right? I like to treat my body from the root cause. And I like when you mentioned about taking like fish oil, taking all that. So I'm all into that. That's why I want chiropractor to be in the business for a long run, because I know how impactful that is. I see several of like, my friends who went to chiropractor and make a big difference into their life, instead of, going through the big analysis, taking the painkiller, but chiropractor very help them to become like freedom, right? Because just by adjusting your body, your alignment is also unlocked, like the nerve system. And I believe in that. I know that it works, and I want them to be in the business for a long run. That's why having them know that profit is so important, and so they can serve the community longer and forever.
yeah, yeah. I mean, any way that you can help chiropractors, the young chiropractors, get their finances formatted and so they can stay open, because if you're not bringing in money, you're not going to be able to treat patients.
Yeah, I know that we're running out of time, but I want to say one thing. So, when I often tell my client that like this, right? When the money is like a flow, right? When the money flow in, instead of what we want to have is we want to have a bank account that I call it like a peace of mind bank account. So when the money flow in, you set aside a percentage where you put an intention, the task for that bank account. Like you want instead of uh, you go spending and have a profit left over, you put it into the profit account first and also your tax account. And usually I would, usually it's about 15% to go to the tax account, right? So that you don't, at the end of the year, you don't have to worry about what's going to happen. Am I going to be able to pay taxes or am I going to have profit? Now it's not an afterthought anymore. So that's another thing that I want people, I want to speak louder and louder for people to hear this so that they can implement that into their practice. So, yeah,
Yes, very right. You're 100% right.
yes.
Yeah,
And I appreciate your time, Dr. Lonna. And I can,
pleasure.
yes. Do you, if the listener want to find you, where can they find you, Dr. Lonna?
Yeah, so they can find me, they can submit a request at sfchiro.org. That's our website,
Okay.
sfchiro.org. And they can just fill out a form there, and I will get their contact information if they have a question or whatever, and I'll get back to them.
Yes, sounds great. And I will put it in your website into the show note too, so people can reach out
Okay,
to
great.
you and get more business
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Londa. And I will be in touch with the email to wrap up and also the recording too.
Okay.
You have a
Sounds
wonderful
good,
day.
Petra.
I appreciate you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Same here. Bye.